ship dock, what I propose to be something like a ship dock. And the sea defence wall, I'm not going to show you too much of the, well, I'm not going to show you any of that. I've shown you 5 different images of that place and what it takes to actually build a sea defence. How advanced you need to be to actually do something like that, which is no different to this. You can imagine how technical a civilization would have to be to achieve something like this. Yeah. Okay, Vanessa. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I'm just flipping through a few recent images of docking areas. You know, where they will drain the water out, right? And you can work on the ship. This one here is the same. This is the same as the image I've just shown you on the side wall, and when I saw this I thought this looks like it might have actually been from before the, what everyone's terming the mud flood era, yeah, where they were digging things out of the mud. This really should have gone down deeper. Yeah, you couldn't have a dock this deep. It would normally have to be at least this. So this is the oldest area, and when you look at this stair here, you know, what we've got today is this metal staircase, but under here it's a full concrete slab that's now turned limestone. Can you see that? You know, these are not cut blocks, they're concrete blocks. Like this is a concrete stair, yeah, but it's turned into limestone. Okay. So that's just another recent image, and what technical ability you need to be able to achieve something like this, and why you would have something like this in the first place. It reminds me, this place at Baalbek also reminds me of the, what they call, the megalithic community call, the unfinished pyramid at Abu Rawash, which I've also presented as being something like this. This is in Baalbek. This is the docking area. I did point out these, like you seem to get this, it's like a banding effect that runs all the way across it. I pointed this out in an earlier video with red lines, okay? You know, because they will say that this is rock carved, that all this is being carved out of rock. Right, so basically what I'm presenting to you here is 2 different paradigms, and you can make up your own mind of which, because I see both. I'm just pointing, you see these lines here, so you can see where they're being laid in the concrete, which is like what I've just pointed you out at Baalbek on that last image. It's this area, this back area, and this thing here. You see that little notch area, and how this goes like this. I also find it strange how it leans out. Yeah, it's almost like in the shape of a boat, shape of a ship, right? And what we could actually be looking at here, you see this is the back end of a ship, you know what I mean? This is where the propeller is. You see that? And it anchors into here. This spins around. But if you can imagine something like this dropping into a load of silt, a load of mud, and all this rotting away and rusting away, depending on what it was made from, you would end up with an imprint in mud, in silt, of the object that has just fallen into it. And can you see these lines here? This is the best one that I could find for you, because I couldn't explain. This is the same area at Baalbek. How you see these lines? It shouldn't be like that, should it? You know, if it was natural, like how science talks about natural rock, you would not have these lines perfectly spaced from each other like that, would you? And like this just looks like the back end of a ship, yeah? Like this is literally the imprint of a ship that dropped into some silt, rotted away. This shoved in the back end, yeah, of the propeller that I showed you, and it all turned into mud rock. You see what I'm saying? It's not a docking area, it's literally the imprint of a ship. And you can see how these things are built. Here, can you see these squares? These squares run all the way across it, and now it goes up. This had a roof on it, people, and the only way that it could have had a roof on it is by it spanning over and touching each side. So again, imagine how advanced peoples have to be to create a concrete roof, yeah, with metal and things, for it to connect on either side, because that's what that is. It's collapsed down on the floor and left an imprint in the mud of what the roof was made from. This thing here is in India, right? And I showed you this once before on a high technology video. I only showed it for 10 seconds and then just flashed straight off it, because we've all seen these things, right? And I didn't have a clue what they were. Now, yes, many of them may have been replicated because peoples of the past, later peoples, didn't know what they were looking at. But this is serious high technology, and what these things are, I'm telling you, these are some type of spindles, yeah. You know, they will spin round, maybe on steam, yeah. And how we know that, if you look, right, I'll zoom in on this one. Can you see these lines here? Yeah. They're to help grip these so they can spin really fast in here, and they probably did operate on steam. If you want to go and check this image, you will find them on every single one of these. And this thing is actually mud rock, right? I don't care where it is, I'm more interested in how things are built, so you can go take the information and apply it somewhere else and come up with your own explanations. Is the main reason why I do this. And you know, it's like, why do you think that that level lines up all the way around, right? All the way around there and there and there, right? It's because there will have been wooden lats or twigs in between here, and what is it, yeah, and then it was smothered in mud. You can actually see part of it there, smothered in muck and clay, and the wood rotted away, and that's why you're left with something that looks like blocks that wouldn't stand up. You wouldn't build anything like this, would you? Ever. At one time all this was one solid piece, right? And it just cracked as the wood rotted away, and it just collapsed like a house of cards and looked like this, okay? I actually spoke about the so-called vents in the Great Pyramid. This is actually the King's Chamber. I said the walls actually looked like compressed wood, like wood chip, compressed, yes? And that's exactly what this looks like, right? And it's exactly the same material, and it's what the so-called burial tomb is made out of. It's just a box, but this is actually the Queen's Chamber vents, yeah? And people think that these are huge blocks that go back into the wall, but they're not, and they're absolutely not, because if you look, there's a rim, what we're looking at here, about 2 inches thick. So this is a thin veneer of, what does it look like? It looks like some type of wood or plaster that will have been painted as something like that, but it's a thin veneer. You can see it there. You see these holes here? There's a hole there and there's a hole there. They will have been locked into position. We've got things like this today, and you can, you know, and they will spin around. And actually there could have been, well, there were vents. These were vents, but not in the way that we're taught. Yeah, they were just like vents what we've got in skyscrapers, you know. 2/3 of the structure is buried, isn't it? the site in Pumapunku. This is the sun gate, and I got into it, and this was some type of wood veneer. You can see where these things were nailed into position. These are nails holes. Yeah, these are not drill holes, these are nail holes. Right, there's no spirals in these, I've told you. It's what comes after it that's new. I just had to start with this because people still want to believe, and I get messages that, oh no, this is high technology in stone. Well, these lines are not lined up like as if they were on some lathe and some high precision drill lathe machine were going up and down and drilling these holes, because they would all be absolutely precisely straight, and they're not. And there's no spirals in them because they're 6-inch nail holes, and this is just saturated, petrified wood. Anyway, this is known as Hittite, right? And how old do you think that is? Look at how brand new this is. This surrounding area is absolutely devastated, in this rubble and stuff all over the place. That has been printed in there within the last 10 years. When you come and check this particular image, I want you to look down here. This substance down the side of here is different to this. Yeah, you know, it almost looks like a wooden frame almost. Yeah. Anyway, just come and look at that part there, and at first I thought, oh well, the holes go all the way through. Well, they do, you know, because this is half buried in the floor, or it's encased in like a plastic casing, you know, and the tubes that go into here that pump the bubbles through into the bath are hidden. So that's, you know, that's normal, that's what you'd expect. This was a excavation. It won't look like this now because it's too revealing. That wire in there, I think, is actually a modern light in there. First time, I mean, I'm not absolutely sure actually, because this, it obviously got flooded out at one time, and all this has been revealed, and this is actually a different colour to that, so it's strange. I think they've put that there to try and cover this up, right? It should not be a different colour to that. I think that's a light there, but the wire for that will be around here. But they call them all, you know, this is a house. This was a house, okay? There'd be, you know, an entire city buried. I don't know what these were, why, you know, why they did them. Are they just making out that they got it out of here? Because it looks like they've just destroyed this floor to put this here, you know, to complete their paradigm, their deception. It actually looks like this has been taken out of this wall. Yeah, you know, like inside the Great Pyramid, it's the exact same size. Strange. But the houses anyway, they were all houses. This thing at the Coricancha in Peru, I had this on the last video. This is really important, this thing here were either something metal. I'll show you it now. I put this on the last video. There were examples, weren't there? Ancient and modern construction methods. It was something like this, right? But when I actually look at it, I think every single one of these blocks, every single one, has got some type of framing in like this. That this substance, this concrete, which later turns harder, that looks like andesite, but it's not, because when you wash this stuff off, it changes colour. It's the lime that's been sucked to the outside again. This framing, you see how that is off that corner, and it's just like an inch thick on top of it. It will be the same with every single block, I am telling you. And this thing, I'm showing you this because can you see how it comes over the edge there? It shouldn't do that. In fact, you can actually see a line down here. This thing with this, you know, this, you can actually see an inch thick plate. This is like a steel or wooden plate that's over this. Right? It wasn't all one piece is what I'm getting at when made. Listen to what I just said when you go inspect this image. This thing here was a house, right? These were glass windows. Windows have always been made from glass, and it's just an imprint of what it was. Right? And how we know that is, where is it now? Yeah, you see that frame there? This was the door. This is the door here, and it's broke away here, but you can still see part of the wooden framing, part of the door frame under this, as this broke away, as it all turned into, it's like hardened silt. This is basically like silt, isn't it? But it's gone hard from being in the sun for a long time. Yeah, you can see some more of the structure, or you know, a different house behind it popping out of it. It just shows you how devastating this event is when it actually occurs. This thing here is actually only the pinnacle of a massive church. I'm talking about churches like the size that they are in England today. Look how much this stuff was buried, people. How devastating is this? And this was built from wood, right? Wood and clay. Unless those people that think I'm talking rubbish again think that window frames are actually built from little pieces of stone. Yeah, decorations like that, and all this was built from little bits of stone for it to collapse like a house of cards. I don't think so. It were built from wood, something that you can stabilize and nail together and secure with mud and stuff over it. It's turned to stone since, from being buried in all this. Well, if you like that, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to help the channel moving forward, you can press on the link in a pinned comment, which will be in every video from now on. Thank you.